Hey, Armand here with your forecast for the week of April 18th, 2021. It's a busy, powerful kind of week. It's a week where we can do an awful lot of stuff. It's a good week for getting stuff done. It's the week of the first quarter moon. The sun is going to go into Taurus. We're going to have this sort of generalized sort of shift of energies. And it's a good time to get things done. It may be the last really good time to get things done in a while. We are heading towards the powerful and charged and often a little bit challenging full moon in Taurus next week, which we'll talk about quite a bit in the following forecast. Before we go any further, I do want to give a big shout out to Adam Bernstein over on the Medium channel. He gives weekly forecasts and plenty of other things too, so you ought to check that out. His weekly forecast last week was, so he predicted problems with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine 2 days before anybody knew anything about that. So that's pretty impressive. But his forecasts are always really good. I feel that there's a lot of, symmetry. He does do a little bit of astrology. That part of it's okay. It's pretty good, I guess. But mostly he uses tarot, just showing that there's different ways of getting at the same kind of information. I know like psychic mediums tend to be very open to astrology, or astrologers not so much when it comes to other things. They like to feel astrology is a science or something. It's complicated, but it doesn't make it a science, I don't think. So anyways, Adam Bernstein over on the Medium channel, you can catch his forecast and see what he had to say. I watched it and I think it's pretty interesting. So this week, first quarter moon, right? That's always a time to get things started. The moon is pulling away from the other planets. This is really the last month where this is true. It's been true since about November, where all the planets are together in a bundle. And if the moon is together with them, everything is in a bundle, and then the moon pulls away. When the moon pulls away, this is when we get a chance to have some perspective on things, a little bit of challenge, a little bit of back and forth kind of stuff, but also some perspective. So through this week, there may be some bargaining, there may be some negotiating, there may be some conflicts that come up and so on, but it's kind of out in the open. The combination of the first quarter moon and having the moon away from the other planets really indicates sort of action and perspective. Pretty good week to get things done, all in all. Now the sun goes into Taurus on Tuesday, and that's at least here in the New York area. This is the shift between like the early shoots popping up and the forsythia blooming and all of those early spring signs, and the leaves coming on the trees, and we start to everything's in bloom, including the trees. I guess if you have allergies, that's not such a good thing, but anyway, I'm all for it. So we're going to have a shift into that Taurus energy. It's a little bit more solid, a little bit more grounding. We've had a lot of fire and air in the sky, inspiration and ideas. It's good to have things getting a little bit grounded too, a little bit more practicality, a little bit more of that earth energy can be really, really helpful as we go forward over the next month, because we are going to have some, challenging astrological weather over the course of May and most of June. As soon as we hit next week's full moon in Scorpio, we're really in eclipse season. So we have a couple of eclipses that are coming, and then we have a lot of other stuff, a lot of planetary stations coming up and so on. So it's going to be a very busy time. It makes this a reason. We're already kind of a little bit jangled up compared to where we were, like say, a month ago, but it's still manageable is what I would say. So it'll probably always be manageable. What are you doing? It's manageable. Okay, so we start the week with the moon in Cancer on Monday. A little bit of protectiveness, that's always the Cancerian thing. A little bit of self-protectiveness, a little bit of clannishness is kind of a part of the picture. With the sun at the very end of Aries, I feel that there's a little bit of edginess to Monday. You can make it work for you. And then we hit the first quarter moon in Leo. It is a positive kind of energy. Let's just put it that way. And that's really taking us through the early part of the week into midweek. Then the moon goes into Virgo, and that'll pretty much finish out the working week. Well, it's always a good thing to have the moon in Virgo if you're trying to get stuff done The emphasis is on precise work. I'd say earlier in the week is a little bit more big picture-y kind of thing, and then we get into that kind of like a little bit more focused energy. And then on the weekend, the moon goes into Libra, which would be nice, but of course it's going to square Pluto at the very end of the deal, and we're getting near the full moon and so on. So there's, as we go towards the weekend, there's a little bit more tension. Also, not only is the sun going to go into Taurus, but Venus is already in Taurus, Mercury in Taurus this week. And so there's going to be a lot of that earthy kind of energy. One thing that happens on the weekend is that both Venus and Mercury are going to square Saturn in Aquarius. That has very much the feel of like you really just want to enjoy yourself. You really just want to do your thing, the whole Taurus business, you know. And then there's Saturn in Aquarius is kind of like reading you the rules, you know, which is like this sort of social distancing kind of thing, and all of those things that we, you know, might kind of grate on the simple pleasures and enjoyment sort of feel. It's, you know, for relationships, I would say that there is a, you know, there's a little bit of a kind of a decision-y kind of time that happens with Venus square Saturn. Even on Friday, there might be, if you're at work, there might be a little bit of a kind of, you know, talking to your supervisor about the way things are going, and something that could be a serious conversation someplace there in the offing. Be a serious conversation on the weekend for sure. So that's the general pattern of things. It's a good week to get stuff done. It is a productive week. I would say try to get meetings and things like that done sometime Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Tuesday, Wednesday, definitely the pick of the week for that kind of thing. And Thursday, Friday, maybe a little bit more like solitary focus of energy. That ought to just about carry you through. But be aware that there's a little bit of underlying tension that may be kind of hard to explain, may not necessarily be related to anything that you can directly put your finger on. So, you know, if that's the case, that's the case. Anyway, I will see you next week.